All right. So with that in mind, let's go down here. Again, we had 4 phases. So let's talk about how I would handle each of the 4 phases. 0 to 10K. In this phase, number one, presuming I have no money, I'm going to leverage some skill sets here of my ability to speak and do sales. So I'm going to cold call. This is tough, but in order to get to this 0 to 10K mark, I only need about 5 to 10 clients, especially with my ability to have the consulting on top. But we're presuming that I have no credibility either, right? We're assuming that I don't have prior credibility. And so in this freelancer mode, I'm going to call, I'm going to email, but I'm going to leverage past experience so that I can speak directly to my avatar. Now, totally skipping ahead here, things that I want you to be thinking about to make the dollars. What is your niche? Who is your ideal client? This is super important. This is where I got way off base. I got it figured out that I could get some people to pay me money for my SEO service, but I would take anybody that would work with me, which meant every project was different because I didn't have a specific niche or vertical. This is preached a million times. I'm sure you're familiar with this concept at this point. How you pick your niche, I think, is important, and something that I spend a lot of time with my coaching clients working on is making sure that we pick the right niche for you based on what skill sets you already have, because it's short and condenses. Most people give you a great big list and they're like, here's ones that make money, here's ones that make less money, pick one. And they're absolutely right when it doesn't really matter which one you pick, but I feel like you can do yourself a service by picking something that you already have experience in. We work with a lot of home service trades and work with a lot of medical companies. I still have 2 different verticals that we work within inside of our agency at this point. The reason for that is my dad was a home builder. I have a lot of knowledge about what plumbers do and framers and roofers and HVAC contractors and concrete. Like, I know everything there is to know about home services. I've worked in home services. I've done it. I've experienced it. I have spoken with a lot of them. And so I can build a lot of rapport really fast. And I have a true understanding of what their situations are and their struggles and et cetera. And so this makes it easier for me to have this conversation than someone that you grew up and your dad was a banker and you've never once set foot on a construction site. You're probably going to have a harder time picking that up. It's not that you can't. And home service is a great vertical, right? There's a lot of money to be made inside of helping home service businesses, but maybe because your dad's a banker, maybe you're looking at somebody that wants to do finance and helping people with loans. I don't know. Again, it depends on your specific situation. Again, this is why it's great to have a mentor, to do a call with someone that can help you discover what niche makes most sense for you. End of the day, they can all suck. End of the day, they can all be super successful. The caveat and exception to that is ones that don't spend money. One that's super saturated that we went into for a while and I still have clients in is chiropractic. That being said, chiropractors are a different breed, and ultimately, I have less desire to work directly with chiropractors as much as I would like to actually go purchase. I understand enough about the model and the business because I have 2 really good friends who've made multi-7-figure chiropractic companies. They're industry gurus. They teach chiropractors how to build business. They're true businessmen. Um, I have enough understanding that I, at this point, am looking to buy brick and mortars. I was trying to make an offer on one this past year. Unfortunately, it fell through due to timing. I need a chiropractor to help back the situation. The one that I was going to leverage or use was going through some personal things. And so timing didn't work out. I lost the opportunity on that deal. We're looking for others, as aside from the point. But the point is, every niche can suck and every niche can be great as long as they know how to, they have the ability to produce money. If there's a business that's making no money, like somebody selling, I don't know, dog turds, that's probably going to be a really hard business to market. So finding somebody who has a product or service that's in high demand that people want, that makes it a lot easier for you to do your job as a marketer. Your objective is you need to show it to more people and you need to convince them that they need to buy it from you, right? That's kind of it in a nutshell. And then who's your ideal client? So not just niche selection, but who is this person, right? How do they show up and operate? Because something else that really, really, really made it hard for me and is, I think, even more critical at this 0 to 10K mark, because you're limited on time. You're going to be doing all the sales. You're going to be doing all the fulfillment. You're going to be doing all the communication with the clients. So understanding who this person is, right? We have criteria and red flags and places that I'm like, no. And we have different structures in place. So when we do sales, we have this thing that we sell to them on the front end before we ever sign a long-term agreement. And it's really more for us than it is for them. They get a lot of value out of it. Don't get me wrong, but we are actually using it as a grading system to understand, like, how do they communicate? Do they get us the resources that we need to execute on this thing quickly and easily? Like, we're grading and measuring how they're going to mesh with us. Because if we have trouble with that small process, it's going to be a problem in the long term. And if we're consuming way more energy in our communication and they're causing problems and asking for things that we don't offer, and in general, they're consuming more resource of time, if it nothing else, which means that we're making less profit. Whereas if I can take on a client that does their part, they get us the things we need quickly and efficiently, we're able to go execute quickly and efficiently. They get a great return. They don't cause a lot of trouble. We don't have extra communications that are not accounted for inside of what we're charging. I'm able to service 2 or 3 of those for every one bad client. So the ability to say no is actually most important. And Alex Hormozi has talked through this at one point, I think is an interesting concept. I had to learn how to quit on something before I started my business. I learned how to quit my job, but then immediately you have to unlearn that skill of learning how to quit, and you have to be determined to not quit at any cost, right? Same thing here. When you're looking at taking on clients, you've got to start saying yes to a lot of things till you get familiar with what you know you want and need and what's going to work best for you. When you have that clarity, then you have to start saying no, and saying no a lot. I say no to a lot of deals and opportunities. I know that we could get the card swipe, but I know that I'm not going to be as leveraged as I want to be. I know our team's not going to be as leveraged as I want to be. The short-term gratification of getting to charge them for a few months is no good to me. I'm looking for partners that we can work with for years. I've got people that have been with us for 8 years, 5 years, 6 years. Like our company has customers that have been with us for a long time. We retain customers for years, not months. And it's because of how we're framing this on the front end. So I'm going to be super careful as I'm going through this, who my ideal client is. I already know that going in. Also, we need to know what we are selling. Now, if you want to start an SEO agency, that's fantastic. If I had it to do all over again, I would introduce SEO because it's a highly profitable skill set. But if I was starting out, I would hands down be focused on paid ads first, because there's a lot fewer mechanical components. I would have more leverage time myself starting a paid ads agency, whether that's Facebook ads, whether that's Google ads. Those are 2 of the prominent ones that I have under my belt that I could go execute on and work with a client on. You're still going to have obstacles, right? You're going to need potentially resources and assets from them. You need to know what the offer should be, but it's more replicatable as opposed to with SEO. There's a lot of moving components, right? You've got Google My Business and how to set that up, and process for that. And you got to buy links and or go build them yourself. You got to write content. Like there's a whole lot more that goes into the fulfillment, and yet the price point that we charge is roughly the same. There's a little bit more for SEO, but I can get more output out of the paid ads. So I would start with paid ads, and over time, I would start layering in the SEO. If your skill set is just SEO, that's fine. I just want you to understand that it's a harder road because there's less leverage because of the number of things you need to do it well. Now, if you're following somebody that's telling you just need to build a couple of citations and a couple of links, and that's like all you got to do, that's more that bad information. And again, I would encourage you, hop on a phone call with me. Let's talk about what real SEO looks like. That we have a sophisticated understanding of what goes into it. We take a much more holistic view. We're looking at content. We're looking at CRO. We're looking at the Google My Business. We're looking at AI. We're looking at the links. We're looking at reputation building. Like there's so many facets that go into it to do it well, to get great desirable results where customers, again, stick with us for years. I have a customer who's been with us for 8 years. All we do for him is SEO. I don't do any paid ads. He's never been interested in paid ads. He doesn't need paid ads. And yet you have to understand all the mechanical components to go into SEO to get that kind of result where they stick and stay with you that long. All right. What are we selling? I know for me, I'm going to start with paid ads. I'm going to start with Google ads, right? That may change here in the near future. At the time of recording this, we're in April 2025. Like, I'm anticipating a pretty major shift with search moving over to ChatGPT and Perplexity. I think there's going to be some market share shift. I think Google's going to clap back, but I don't know where and how that's going to go. So Google ads may be less desirable. I may have to learn a new platform, whatever, but paid ads in general have been easier to start and scale. Again, because you can do sales and fulfillment at the same time, much easier. All right, I'm going to call and I'm going to email because I don't have money for ads yet, right? And the objective is I just need 5 to 10 customers. 5 to 10 customers. What else goes in that you don't know? Well, we know what niche, we know who our ideal client is or how it is to work with them, how they communicate, how they show up, what they give us, etc. I know what we're selling. What are they selling? What do they want to sell more of? Having a sophisticated understanding of that is also going to give me an advantage of putting together a call or an email that creates curiosity. These 2 platforms for our modalities of getting clients are the same as when we move into the next phase and we start doing ads. So many people get this wrong and they feel like the purpose of ads is to get you clients, but we're skipping over steps. The purpose of ads is not to get you clients. It's to get you conversations, right? And this is why I feel confident in calling. There's I think it's the most hated sales trainer in the UK or something like that. Has a fantastic channel. And I feel like his approach to cold calling helped change my mental model years and years and years ago for how and what to do when it comes to structuring ads. You have to understand there's components, there's phases that you're going through. And to layer on top of it, one of my mentors talks about you have to capture permission, then you convert their mindset, and then you close, right? When I call someone, the first thing is I need to capture their permission to speak with them. Because if you just start running into your pitch and you've been on the other end of these, somebody calls and they're like, you need this thing and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, no, thanks. Click. Right. So capture their permission into it. So that's the first phase. The first opening line, the first 3 seconds is, hey, this is a cold call. May I have permission to tell you what it's about? And if it doesn't make sense after the end of the 10 seconds, like you can just hang up on me and we'll part ways as friends. Does that sound fair? Most people, if you will denote it like that, will go, all right, you're polite, hit me. And then the next 10 seconds is not about selling them your product or service. It's to get them intrigued. So you're going to build intrigue with the next line. And then from there, your next objective is, again, not to sell them. It's to sell them on the idea of, hey, I know you're probably busy right now, and I couldn't really truly explain this thoroughly. You seem to have some kind of interest. It seems like it might be reasonable to conversate on this. Can I pick out a time with you that we can actually sit down and talk, whether that's on Zoom or a longer phone call, et cetera? That's the framework of the call, because then we can get them on a longer call with us where they're already bought into the idea. We've captured their permission to speak with them on this. And then we're going to use that longer form conversation to convert their mindset from where they're at right now, what they're doing right now. And you can't do that without truly understanding where they're at right now. This is why, despite the fact that I'm sharing a lot of great information with you today, if you stuck with me this far, thank you so much. You're one of the few that cares and wants to understand these things thoroughly. But I can help you better. Somebody else can help you better if I know your specific situation. So I understand your situation, can't help guide you. It's like, we'll draw it down here. If I think you're in New York and you want to go to Dublin, I don't know, random place, but you're actually in Florida, I can tell you directions. You're going to go down here and you're going to make a left, and then you're going to go down here and then you're going to make a right, and then you're going to arrive at Dublin. Those directions work if you're actually in New York, but you may misidentify that you're in New York and you're actually somewhere in Florida. And so the directions leave you out here in this wandering land of who knows where, and it's definitely not Dublin. I'm realizing you can't see this, so let me show you. So with that in mind, again, knowing where you're at is important if you want to hop on a one-to-one call. I'm giving those away for free right now. I have a few spots left so far, and I'll help you get clear on where you're at so we can build a direct roadmap for you. But all right, so call and email. Objective is I'm going to sell them paid ads. I'm probably going to be in the home service space, and I need to know what they desire to sell more of. So if I'm talking about tree service, like, okay, they want more emergency jobs. If it's a roofer, okay, they want more residential jobs, or maybe they want more commercial jobs. I need to know what they want so that I can get them to buy in. And again, call and email are ways where I've got more time than money at this point until I get to that 5 or 10 clients. Then I'm going to be tapped out. Then I'm going to go do ads. But the thing that I'm going to do before I do ads is, with the revenue that I'm generating at 10K, I can likely get somebody like PayPal. You can go open an American Express card, etc. If your credit's pretty good, you haven't done anything stupid there. I'm going to go get a credit line. I'm going to look for between $10,000 and $20,000 in a credit line, because I'm going to spend $2,500 or so on ads to go into this next phase. And I'm going to spend another $2,500 a month roughly on someone that can do the button pushing and watch the ads that I'm already built. And I'm going to have taken some time before I do this to build an SOP for how I want this executed on. And the reason for that is I'm buying a button pusher. For $2,500, I can find someone that would be willing. It may not be their only gig, right? They may not be completely dedicated to me, but I can get them to probably run 5 or 10 of my clients for $2,500 a month with minimal effort, because I've already set the campaigns up. I'm doing all the communication with the client still. And I want you to understand something else that I feel is valuable and important. Something a lot of gurus neglect to teach is retention is everything. Because if I've got 5 or 10 customers, but I'm churning them out because I'm not getting them the desired result, that's going to make this whole process more difficult. So to make sure that this is going smoothly, one of the biggest components of that, something I preach and teach to my entire team, is arguably the most valuable thing that we do as an agency is how we communicate with our customers. Always operating from a position of authority as experts in what we do, always consulting them on what we feel is best, We're always bringing problems to them before they are aware of them. If something has gone wrong, we're bringing them that problem before they're aware of it. And we're showing up with a solution. We're not just pointing out and going, hey, there's a problem. We're going to look into it. It's, hey, there's a problem. Here's what we've already done to look into it. Here's what we think we're going to be doing. Here's why we're going to be doing it. This gives peace of mind to that business owner. This helps with the retention. I could argue it's not ethical at all. I don't recommend it. This is not what we do. I want to be very hyper clear on this. But I am confident in the way that we communicate, the way we have built trust with our customers. If we turned everything off that we do right now, did none of the work, because of how we communicate, I think we could still retain them for 3 to 6 months. And if you can build that into how you show up and you're getting great results, your retention is going to go through the roof. This is going to make it much easier for you to grow and scale. $2,500 a month up here goes to someone building ads. I'm going to give them an SOP. And then $2,500 is going to go into ads to help me get additional customers. Now, mathing that out here, $2,500 divided by 30 days is about 83 bucks, 83 bucks a day. So I'm going to just call it around 75. At $75 per day, I can predictably get about 10 or 12 conversations based on me understanding what our customers want. And something else that I'm going to incorporate over here is case studies. Something that I wish I'd started doing sooner that would help accelerate the process is, as I'm getting results, which is in the name of our company, as I'm getting results, I'm documenting the whole way. First 60, 30, 90 days, I'm getting on a call with these customers and I'm talking through with them, where are you at, what's going on? And then I'm capturing permission to use that video recording as an asset. And I'm going to cut it and use it to build credibility and proof, because I can rant and say that I'm the greatest all fucking day, but if I can get clients to say that we're the greatest, awesome. Now, I may not have money at the beginning for this, but as we move into this second phase here, I'm going to be also, get rid of the calculator. As we're moving into this second phase here, I'm going to be starting to invest in some softwares and tools that also help me track more efficiently. So I may be using like Google Search Console and Google Analytics and building a Looker Studio report in the beginning, but I may start investing in something like Agency Analytics where I can pull more robust data. I may start using something like Local Falcon if I'm doing SEO to pull heat maps, things like that. So I can show incremental process and I start building case study data around the results that I'm creating and video testimonials and written testimonials, so I can build social proof and credibility quickly. That's going to help supplement the ads when we do the ads. Ads are great. The effectiveness of those go up. Like, we just launched an initiative where we took all of our written testimonials and we've got them in carousel format, and people are going to get retargeted with those as they've seen my video ad. They're like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? They see me like 10, 12 times and I'm saying the right things to them, but they don't know who I am. And then they're reading written testimonials and then they look us up and they realize the testimonials are real because they're looking at Google, and I've accumulated a lot of Google reviews. And then they start looking and they realize I have a YouTube channel, and they realize that I teach other agency owners how to build an agency, and they realize the content that we put out around, the psychology for buyer's guides and stuff like that, that helps improve in their market. And like, all these things contribute to getting more people to say yes. It's not just that I could pop up an ad and nobody know who I am and never seen my face before and say a magic series of words that's going to pick the lock. There's going to be a small percentage of people that will buy from me under that term. There's a wider pool of people that are going to be nurtured over time. So this first month running ads, I'm only going to get 2 or 3 customers, but it's going to give me some time back. I'm not spending so much time cold calling or emailing, right? And I'm not doing those at mass. I'm not trying to use like some crazy auto dialer thing. I'm being very specific with who I'm reaching out to and intentional. I think something else that people go wrong in is they think, oh, I'm going to run ads and I'm trying to get 100 clients. When I think about running ads, I'm like, how am I getting the next 5 to 10 clients? How do I be very specific about who I want and when I want them and what they look like? And I'm only focused on iteratively trying to get the next 5 to 10. And when I start breaking it down in that mode, there's definitely something to be said for volume. I'm not making 1 to 2 calls a day and expecting that I'm going to get a lot of clients. I'm making hundreds of calls, but that's because I know I need hundreds of calls to get the next 5 or 10. When I'm lining my actions up there, I'm not skipping over steps and trying to move too fast. I'm not trying to think like, oh, I need to build out this backend system to handle when they come in, a follow-up sequence here and blah, 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 blah for the ads. Like, nope. I know that I'm aiming for 5 to 10. I know I need them at this volume for me to have them opt into a lead form or fill in their information in a form on a landing page. And then I'm picking up the phone and calling them. I'm vetting them real quick to make sure that they seem like a right fit. I'm not going to bug them for a long time. I've opened a conversation with them. I'm making sure that they're genuinely interested, probably the right fit. And then I'm ensuring, hey, you're going to show up to this call. Great. And give them some expectations. And then we're going to show up to the call. And based on the information I've collected, information I've gone and looked at about them and who they are, we're going to be able to have a compelling argument to convert their mindset on why they should use our services. And then I don't even have to hard sell anybody. I don't ever hard sell anybody. The confidence in my ability to showcase what our product is, why it works, they are led to the conclusion that it makes sense to work with us. And then most of the people that I want to work with will buy from us. And again, I would also put in the iterative step that my company uses right now, which is I have a test project. Basically, in a nutshell, like everybody's heard of an audit, but the way we format an audit is we actually build out an entire marketing plan. And I tell them this, and because I know my market, I'm very clear on what we're building into this marketing plan, and it'd be different for you. So when you say the word audit, be aware you're going to need to disassociate to a degree, because everybody has used the word audit, and they're going to think like you're going to run some automated report and hand it to them, and it's going to have no value. I have built a lot of information around and done a lot of research on understanding like what needs to go in our audits. I'm articulating that, and then I'm backing it up, to go back over here, with case study data of people saying, I've been through this audit process and it was so valuable. This allows me to sell that, but I'm ultimately selling it to help support me in this second phase, because I want them to show if they are going to be a good fit long-term, right? Arguably, even back here in this first phase, I'm doing the same thing. Now, if I'm selling paid ads, that audit's going to look a bit different. It gets short and condensed. It's still going to have some of those key components. How long does it take them to get me access to the ad account? Do they already have analytics? Do they know what I'm talking about? Do they have the technical skill to log in and upload some things to a Google Drive folder that I need? Like, how much time and energy is going to get wasted with me trying to teach them how to use a Word doc to edit our copy before it launches? But then they get mad because they didn't have the time to like edit the Word doc with the copy. And then they realize that their ad says something that they didn't want it to say. I'm trying to lead you down this path of like, I need to stop saying like, there's so many little small things that will attritionally add up. They will eat up your time to the point that you're genuinely not making any money. You lack leveraged time. This is going to slow down your process and ability to get to a point that you have a team, and then it's going to be slowing your team down. It's not a good idea to say yes to the wrong people. So having this filtration process on the front end, again, we'll do a lot of these market plans or audits, and we'll actually say, I'm not actually making you an offer today. Here's your information. Here's what you paid for. I don't think it's a good fit. And they're always stunned. And it's funny, whenever you start taking that position and you're operating from a state of abundance, this is something else I want to go into in just a second. It's super important. It's going to make all this come together for you, or I hope, or it did for me. And I want you to see how it comes together. When you're operating from a state of abundance where you can say, hey, look, I don't think it's a good idea to work from you, how quickly people will pull out their credit card and they're like, no, I want to work with you. And you having to say no to that, man, we could have closed another, in just the last couple of months, probably $250,000 in contracts. And I said no, because I know that $250,000 sounds great on the front end, but would be a path of chaos and constraint and lack of leverage to a point that it would cost me $500,000 or $1 million. And I'm not interested in that.